Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm out here today at the wee cover where I usually have cattle, and this year I don't have any cattle in here for a host of reasons. What I've got here today, I got a log on the sawmill, and I got the big end on the saw end, which is wrong, but anyway, it's the way it was orientated. And it's about 15 feet 8 inches long. It's oak, come out of the fence row. And I'm gonna try cutting it into 2x4s. I'll see how I get along. I may have to put a new blade in. This blade's getting tired, but I'm a little on the cheap side. I like to get as much out of my blades as I can. I think I can get a couple of more cuts, and then when I get into this, I'm going to put a new blade on, see what happens. I've been cutting up mostly, this is mostly ash, a little bit of oak here, but mostly ash. I've been cutting ash that's fallen in some of our bushes, and we're just trying to get it before it rots. And the only other thing I've been doing is cutting out of fence rows. So anyway, that's what's going on. So I'll bring you back when I get a little bit done there. Yeah, I maybe didn't explain when I started. What I have here is a Norwood HD36. I've had it for a couple of years, and it's just kind of my hobby. Now this log I got on the mill here, it's got a lot of what I call ugly humps and bumps. So what I've done, I took a little bit off this side. I've got the bottom flattened out all the way, and I took the log right off. Well, I have to turn it with the tractor because it weighs, I don't know what it weighs, but what I have is of all things, a John Deere 5420 front wheel assist, and I can feel the back end coming off the ground a little bit, and I've got it weighted up a little bit with some wheel weights. But what I'm going to do next is I cut the top, which is now the bottom, got some of the humps and bumps off it. Now I'm going to take these humps and bumps off, which now is the top, which was the bottom, and I'll get it down to a square cant here. And once I get it there, it soon cuts into a lot of lumber. And the other thing I did, and I talked about it when I started, the blade I had was a little dull. In the first couple of passes, I could feel it waving a little bit. For two reasons. There's a lot of knots in this. This, like I said, this is a fence row tree. There was a lot of knots. And so I haven't done anything on this side. I'll get these humps and bumps off of here, get it squared up. We have this little cutoff saw here. We cut them to length. Anyway, that's what's going on here today. It's kind of raining and snowing out, so it's a Friday afternoon, nothing else going on, so I thought this is what I would do. Yeah, and looking back, I should have cut this log in half because the tail end of this thing is quite a bit smaller than the big end. But what I got, I took a bunch of 1 inch off this thing to get it kind of half squared up. And what I'll do now, I'll take a 4-inch strip off that I'll cut into 2x4s later, pull that off, just to make it a little more easy to handle. This thing, it's heavy. So, like I say, it's wet oak, but with this new blade, it is doing a lot better job. And I'll get a few nice 2x4s out of here. I only need 2x4s 42 inches long. And this thing's long enough, I should get 4 out of the length of it. However, as we get towards that end, it's quite a bit smaller. But this end's pretty good. And I got to remember, this come out of a fence row, so I got nothing invested here. It had to go anyway. It's either do this or firewood. And it's about all I can handle, this thing, by myself. It's heavy. Anyway, I just take my time. Now what I've done is cut 2 4-inch slabs off of this piece. And what I'll do now is cut, this is 8 inches left. I'll cut this in two, so I'll have 2 more 4-inch slabs. Then I'll tip it up on its edge, square it up, and start cutting 2x4s off of it. And as you can see, this is a big chunk of wood. Big chunk. Anyway, we're getting her down to size. And since I'm here by myself, it's hard to video when I'm cutting. I know some people would like to see that, but hey, I can only do what I can only do. One thing you have to really watch is your log stops, that they're down 4 inches, because you can hit them with the blade. Ask me how I know. I know because I cut 1 and 2. It's tough on a blade, really tough. I'll bring you back when I get whipping 2x4s off. So I'm back. It's the next morning, Saturday morning. And what I've done here with the help of Craig, I got these 2 slabs flipped up the other way. I got the bark cut off. Now what I'm simply going to do is just slice it. It's 4 inches wide, as you can see, and then I'll just slice it into 2x4s. This is pretty good oak for pallets. I'll slice this down, and I get down near the bottom, I'll flip it over and take there's a little bit of wane on the other side yet, little bark. I'll flip that off. There, this 2x4's got a little bit of bark on it, but what we do with those with a little bit of bark, we put four 2x4s on a pallet, not like this one. This one has 3. What we do with our pallets, we put a 2x4 here and a 2x4 here, and it makes them a lot stronger. And so if we've got what I call a iffy 2x4, we stick it in the middle, and you never notice it. Anyway, I've got, I don't know how many 2x4s this one's going to make, quite a few. And then I've got 2 more to bring back and do the same thing with them. And when I get that done, I've got a bunch of 1x's that I cut off when I was squaring the cant up. And I'll bring them back, take the bark off of them. Then I'll be done with this oak. So as you can see, I've got 6 2x4s cut off here. And I took this cant and put it on there. Flipped it around so the bark was up. Took the bark off, and then I've cut this into 2x4s again. And it's made, along with a few 1x's to get it square, it's made 6 more 2x4s. And that's pretty well done it for this half. Now I've got 2 more slabs like these that I don't know whether, I may cut them into all 1x's because we run out of 1-inch stuff for pallets. But what I wanted to do here, I didn't talk much about this saw. This is a Norwood, and what I have on it is a 23 horse electric start. And other than that, I don't have too many options. Like, I have no hydraulics on it, no auto feed, nothing like that. I went to get as cheap of a sawmill as I possibly could and still go with kind of decent quality. I see a lot of guys have these sawmills and they have them on a trailer. I chose not to do that because, first of all, you need a tractor and loader pretty near to move the logs around, or that's the way I do it because I'm all alone. And I think the thing should be in a shed somewhere because it does deteriorate quite fast if you leave it outside. You could put a tarp over it. I don't know. I think it should be inside. And that's what I did. I got lots of buildings, so stuck her in there. I'm going to bring these 1x's back, cut them up, bring those other 2 cut them into 1x4s, and that'll be enough to make about 15 pallets out of this one log. And anyway, that's about gonna do it for this video. I've been wanting to get out here and do a little bit of a video on the cutting. And like I said, I'm not going in the bush cutting down trees. It's all trees that we wanted to get rid of anyway in a fence row. Or the other thing I cut a lot of is dead ash that's down in the bush, and we have a couple of bushes have a lot down in them even yet. And if it's not touching the ground, it's still good. As soon as it touches the ground for about 2 years, they're rotten and not worth sawing. So this is about the end of this video. If you've enjoyed it, give me a like. If you haven't subscribed, be a good time. I'm struggling a little bit with content, but anyway, I hope you enjoy it. This is kind of what I do for a hobby in the winter anyway. And I'll catch you on the next one.